All right, let's dive into one of the most famous poems you'll probably ever read, The Road Not Taken, by the brilliant Robert Frost. Now, I know you need this for your exams, and we'll cover all the important stuff for that, but honestly, this poem is so much more. It's like a user's manual for some of the biggest decisions you're ever going to have to make.
I mean, think about it. You're in class 9, you're officially a senior, and suddenly everyone's asking you about streams, about careers, about your future. Things are getting serious, right? You're standing at your own crossroads, and that's exactly what this poem is about. It captures that exact feeling.
Okay, let's get into it. Section 1 is all about the dilemma. The poem kicks off with a traveler who's stuck, facing a choice that feels absolutely massive. So, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. Right there in the first two lines, you get the problem. A path splits in two, and he knows he can't be in two places at once. He has to pick one. So what does he do? He just stands there for a long, long time, trying to peer down one of the paths to see where it goes. But it just disappears into the bushes. Now, this phrase, yellow wood, this is a big one, so make a mental note. Literally, yeah, it's a forest in autumn, the leaves are yellow. But the metaphor here is what's really important. Autumn is a season of change, right? So the yellow wood stands for that stage in your life, kind of like right now, your teenage years, when you're mature enough to have to start making these really big, life-defining decisions. So the whole point of this first part is about uncertainty. The speaker desperately wants to know what will happen if he picks that path. He wants a guarantee. But the undergrowth, the messy, dense part of the forest, completely blocks his view. And isn't that just like life? You can try to plan and predict, but you can never really see where your choices are going to take you.
So, after all that thinking and waiting, he finally makes a move. And that brings us to section 2, which is all about the moment he actually makes the call.
Okay, so Frost writes, then took the other as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. He looks down one road, thinks for a bit, and then just takes the other one. He tries to convince himself it's the better choice, that it has a better claim. And why does he think that?
Because, he says, it was grassy and wanted wear. Now, this is another key phrase for you. Imagine a path that's overgrown with fresh grass. It looks like not many people have used it. It's almost inviting him, like it's asking to be walked on. It gives him the feeling that this is the adventurous, unconventional choice.
So in his head, he's setting up this classic showdown. Path A is the obvious one, the one everyone takes. Path B is the unique, bold, road less traveled. It's that age-old question. Do you do what everyone else is doing or do you do your own thing?
But just when you think you've got it figured out, that he's the brave individualist, Frost hits us with a huge twist. In the very same stanza, the speaker totally backtracks and admits that actually, when he looks closer, both paths were worn down really about the same.
And this is so relevant for you. Maybe it feels like everyone is taking the science stream, and that's the worn path. But if you feel drawn to commerce or arts, guess what? That path is just as good, just as legitimate. The poem is telling us that sometimes we build up these huge differences in our minds, but in reality, many paths can lead to a good place. What matters is choosing the one that feels right for you.
And this is a really big deal because once you make that choice, well, there's often no going back, which leads us perfectly into section 3, the impact of one decision.
He says, "Oh, I kept the first for another day." He's trying to comfort himself, right? No worries, I'll just come back later and try the other road. But even as he says it, he knows it's a lie. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. He knows it's probably not going to happen. In that phrase, trod in black, it's the proof. It means the leaves on the ground weren't crushed and turned black by tons of footsteps. It confirms that on that specific morning, both paths looked pretty much fresh and identical. His choice wasn't some grand gesture between a highway and a forgotten trail. It was a choice between two very similar options. So, what does he mean by how way leads onto way? It's a huge concept. Think of it like this. You pick the science stream. That one choice leads to a certain set of college options. Those colleges lead to a certain set of job opportunities. One step leads to the next, and pretty soon you're so far down your path that you can't just hit a reset button and go back to that fork in the road. Decisions build on each other. And all of this brings us to the final stanza, the grand finale. And honestly, this is the part of the poem that almost everybody misunderstands. Section 4, the story we tell ourselves about our choices
long after we've made them. These are the lines everyone knows. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. He's jumping forward in time, imagining himself as an old man, looking back. He's crafting the story he's going to tell everyone about this moment, a story where he claims his choice to take that less traveled road changed his entire life.
So, the story he plans to tell is this epic, dramatic tale. It's the story of a brave individualist who went against the grain. It's the story of a hero who single-handedly carved out his own unique destiny.
But here's the billion-dollar question, based on everything the poem has already told us. Was that really what happened? Nope, not at all. The reality, which he admitted to us back in stanzas 2 and 3, was that the roads were really about the same. He didn't actually take some wild, radically different path. He just took a path. And now he's choosing to tell a story that makes that decision sound way more heroic and important than it actually felt at the time.
So, what on earth are we supposed to take from all this? Well, that brings us to our conclusion. It's not just about the road you take, it's about the story you decide to tell about it.
See, this poem is teaching us that life is always going to throw choices at you. And most of the time, there isn't one perfect, magical right answer and one horrible wrong one. So the goal isn't to get paralyzed by fear or live your life wondering what if. The real goal is to make a choice, commit to it, and walk down that path with confidence and your whole heart. And that is the absolute genius of this poem. The difference wasn't made in the woods when he chose the path. The difference was made years later in the meaning the speaker chose to give that decision. He wrote his own story. And that's our power too. We are the authors of our own stories. We get to decide what our choices mean. So, as you stand there at your own yellow wood, deciding on your streams, your future, whatever it is, remember this poem. The path you choose matters, of course, but what matters even more is the passion you bring to that path and the powerful story you will one day tell about why it made all the difference. What's your story going to be?